everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of the Cynical Challenge podcast. My name is Tracy Knutson, and joining you from Edmonton, Alberta. Pleased to be joined, as always, by my co-host. First, we start with Mr. Jeff Paulus in St. Albert. JP, how are we doing today?
Fantastic. Yeah, we're getting closer to outdoor football. So,
with double-digit teen highs this week. It was brilliant. Sally joins us, Jeff Salisbury from Saskatoon. I know you guys had a wheat pool event with Al Simpson this past Thursday. I'm sure there was lots of breaking news that you're going to share with us right now, but how are things going, Sally?
Yeah, it's going really well. Yesterday was just an absolutely beautiful day. It was out for a walk, my girlfriend and I and our daughter, and went and saw some family yesterday too. So it was lovely yesterday. Today, not as much. It's really, really windy. You'll probably hear it a couple of times during the recording, how windy it is outside today. And it did dip down back into very mild negative temperatures. So
I love how all of our shows start with like a brief weather discussion. You can tell we're from the prairies. It's always something you talk about is the weather. But,
how are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, good. Wish things work-wise would pick up a little bit, as in pick up from zero. But I mean, we're keeping on. It's good that there's all this international footy picking up, and it's something to watch. NBA, NHL, a lot of curling keeps me entertained through the day. So I said if there's a time to be off, I mean, aside from not making money, now is it, because there's just sports constantly. But
this episode's the official start of the work drive for Grayson.
There we go.
Yeah.
Listen, anyone watching this show, though, I mean, how you are not currently employed with some sports organization in this country, I don't know. You are truly the best that I know at doing this, Grayson. So if anyone's watching,
you're pretty good, Grayson.
Yeah, give this man a call. Do you notice, Gray, just to behind Jeff on his wall art there? I'm not sure if it's got like the way that it's kind of framed around his head. It's like a Julius Caesar type vibe, or maybe sort of like a bonnet or something. Yeah. Like, that's actually really clever.
I purposely did that so you guys knew who your emperor was.
Oh, I like it. Clearly.
Yeah. Clearly. So, speaking of the international football, one of the things, obviously, right now, Canada's M23s are looking to qualify for the Olympics for the first time since 1984, and it would be their first time qualifying as under 23s, because back then it was actually still full senior national team. They had their first match this past week. They took on El Salvador, and they picked up a 2-0 victory. Tajon Buchanan, how good was he in that match? His first time wearing a Canadian shirt, actually, at any level, and he scores a brace, and James Pantemis in net, aside from a couple weird turnovers. I thought was solid. So, Sally, why don't we start with you? A good start for our 23s on the road to Tokyo.
Yeah, it took them a while to get into that match. I would say the first 10 to 15 minutes, we hadn't found any rhythm yet. We were honestly, I think, still just getting comfortable with each other out on the pitch, right? You didn't really see any nice link-up play until getting closer to that first goal. I guess right out of the gate, Buchanan, my God, what is this kid's up? Like, what is his full trajectory? What's his upside at this point? It has to be massive. I think Wheels compared him to a Leroy Sané, which is probably the only bright thing to come out of that guy's mouth in a lot of broadcasts. But I mean, he has pace, physicality, has a fantastic first touch. I mean, and has confidence like crazy right now. I mean, the kid is just in form, on fire. It's ridiculous. And he left that Salvadoran defender with his pants down on that first goal. Just absolutely ate him alive. And I mean, could that keeper have stood with his legs any wider for a target? I mean, you could fit a bus through that keeper's legs on that first goal when you really watch it again. I think one of the number one things that really showed up to me in that game is we have a well-composed group, in the sense of they have a really good mentality about them. there was some real genuine shithousery on display from the Salvadoran squad. I mean, I think what was it, maybe 5 or 6 minutes in, and I hope you can pull a clip of this, Gray, is the ball gets played to Aiden Daniels right in the center of the pitch, and he plays a square ball over to the left side, and then the Salvadoran just comes in and steamrolls him, absolutely cleans him out.
Right, yeah.
And the ref comes over and it's just like, no more of that, and it's like, are you kidding me?
So
where's the booking for that?
That's because Daniel, that Salvadoran player, thought he was fouled by Daniels, I don't know, 30 seconds earlier. Right. So yeah, he just comes up, gives him a good solid shoulder body check, which great in hockey, but you can't do that on the football.
It was straight out of the dub, if you ask me. I mean, they both should have slicked their hair back and started pounding on each other after. That would have been very WHL of them. But I couldn't believe that there wasn't a card for that, because there was no attempt on the ball whatsoever. He just came in to clean him out. And I mean, you know what? Good on Daniels. That didn't phase him at all, and it didn't phase the rest of the players. I mean, I think we need to give a lot of credit to Mauro Biello. I really rate him highly as a manager. I think he is a really good up and coming Canadian manager. I fully expect to see him managing a future CPL club, or who knows how this season goes. If somebody gets the axe, then maybe he's a guy that finds his way into a CPL head coaching gig, because I have seen a lot from this team at the tournament, just in the one game, that you can see that there are specific things that he has told these players. And one of them is to keep their heads, to stay mentally in the match and not allow themselves to get preoccupied with some of the garbage that these CONCACAF nations are going to throw at them. And yeah, the beautiful example, Daniels just gets absolutely cleaned out, no yellow card on a very clear bookable offense. And we just kept on going. And then we hit him for 2 in 4 minutes. Buchanan, I mean, that second goal, what a smash.
Yes.
What a smash right at the top of the box. He was down on his knee when Cornelius played the ball back to him, and he just got up and smashed it home. Well in, lad. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's going to be CONCACAFing, obviously. Even at the youth levels, there's always CONCACAFing. And JP, what did you see from this Canada squad? There was obviously an intent to build from the back. Salvadoran was pressing hard, and it, cost us a couple of times in terms of turnovers or silly fouls at the top of the box, giving away dangerous free kicks. But do you like that intent to build up from the back like that? And what did you see from Mauro Biello's side?
Certainly like that, Grayson, for a few reasons, because again, this is just part of that process to increase the level of play of our senior national team. So everything is a step. With John Herman did it with the women's program, now with the men's, and this is part of that process to ensure that our senior team is getting into World Cups. So I love that we're going to try build from the back, and really a great example of this is that first goal. We talk about the ball that was played out wide to Buchanan to get him in, to give him the chance to score. But what was not talked about enough for me was actually the very subtle movement of Baldissimo on that play. And you see where he's at. He's checked his left shoulder. He recognizes that he's got Metcalf coming into that kind of half channel space with a bit of space to be able to receive and turn. And he actually just pulls the defender 3 or 4 yards wide to his left, and that, or to the left of the pitch. And then that little movement creates that pass for Pantemis to play that Metcalf. So really like that. I really like their kind of confidence now. Again, some mistakes playing out at the back, some turnovers. We saw the first half, the one with Daniels could have been a dangerous one. But that's going to be part of the process. And I think Mauro has talked about that. So I like that. He's got this group of players buying into believing that they can play it at the back, wanting to still play this way, even with a really short camp. And then the other piece, what I like that we saw from Mauro in the game management, was that you saw a lot of times where defensively we would drop into a 4-4-2. Out of the 4-3-3, we go 4-4-2. Aiden Daniels would step up to help defend with Bryn. Those two would be the top two, and both wingers then would drop off with Buchanan and Tabla dropping off, right, to give that line of 4. I like the medium block in a game like this because we all talked about fitness being one of the issues for Canada, game fitness, and how will they fare in this event with a lot of time off football for many of them. Well, you go into a medium block and you're not sprinting, pressing high, you're not wasting energy against a team that will probably try to play anyhow and play out. So I thought that was a really good setup for this squad in game one. Be difficult to break down. Some warning signs, amazingly set pieces. Every time that El Salvador had a set piece, I was nervous. I thought they were, I thought we were fortunate to get to not concede on a set piece. And when you look at the height advantage and things like this that we had in that game, that would be just a warning sign for me, is how we manage set pieces, especially against Honduras and Haiti, which are going to be a lot more physical, match up much better, in that size department. So that's an area of concern. But what a way. I mean, Baldisimo for me he was my favorite player. I found that I was always just focused on what his movements were, where he was. Every time a defender stepped out, he dropped into cover. Every time Godinho had to go up and press high, there he was, kind of just tucking in behind in a covering spot on the left side. Baldy, what a player for me in this match. So I know, of course, we've got 2 goals from Buchanan. Great introduction to his Canada career. Also, we don't want to talk about the ideal player pathways. Well, what is the ideal player pathway? Keep yourself playing, keep yourself with belief, keep yourself hoping, and you find yourself, trying to get us into the Olympics the first time you were in our jersey. So well done to that kid.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Marcus Godinho. I know, and I definitely am on team never let him see the full national squad again. But this game is changed my mind a bit. You always forget how old a player is when they're playing with the senior team. And when Godinho played with the senior side at the Gold Cup, the last Gold Cup, where he had that absolute nightmare match against Haiti, I was ready to fully write him off, because I thought, my God, like, if this is the way you're going to play in a full international match, I mean, you're out of your mind. But he's young, still young, and actually he had a great game against El Salvador at left back. He was one of the integral pieces, I felt, to our attacks, especially in the second half. In the sense that he was pulling them, he was spreading out that side of the pitch really well, and was causing that right side of the Salvadoran defense lots of problems. He wasn't quite able to fully get in behind. That was something that Buchanan was able to do that Godinho wasn't quite able to do as well. However, he was causing them concern. They were always having to stay mentally prepared for where he was on the pitch, and it allowed us quite a bit of freedom up top. Those other players, especially Buchanan on the other side, and actually on the first goal, where Buchanan had switched sides with Tabla. Yeah, and there were a lot of things that we were able to do dynamically throughout the match that threw the Salvadorans off. That first goal doesn't happen unless Buchanan and Tabla switch sides on that play, and I wonder if we're going to maybe see them actually switched for either this Haiti match or El Salvador to see what they can bring on the opposite side of the pitch. So
I like the idea of them being able to switch kind of at will. It gives the other team a different look. And yeah, that first goal, that ball to Buchanan was from Tabla, a great diagonal ball to set him up. I also want to give a shout out to Derek Cornelius. I thought he was real solid center back, got to organize the line, was able to get some clearances and that kind of thing as well. Obviously, he's got senior national team caps as well, and playing for Vancouver.
If we can just go to Cornelius really quick, I hope you can quickly right now pop in the video of the foul that gets called against him. I think it's almost right at the end of the first half, where he just goes up and wins the header, clearly wins the header,
right,
and gets called on it. And you see his face, he's just like, what are you talking about? It was such a clean header win and he doesn't climb the guy's back. He doesn't forearm shiver him in the back of the head or anything. Like, there's nothing dirty. It's just a clean header win by a center back, and he gets called on it. And man, some of the reffing in that first half was very questionable.
His yellow card right at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a foul for sure, but the play continues. They play advantage. Player gets a shot off that doesn't miss by a lot, and then the ref brings it back. Still gives a free kick.
That was weird.
They've actually had a shot on goal. It's horrendous. It's a horrendous officiating decision. Honestly, I mean, there are so many. You just shake your head when you see it. Honestly,
just CONCACAF.
Yeah. But I mean, again, that speaks. I firmly believe that speaks to the better mentality that this Olympic squad has in comparison to squads that we've had in the past. We have players now who have some professional minutes. They've dealt with this kind of garbage already in their careers to some degree, and it's not phasing them like previous Canadian sides it would have, and that gives me hope that we might actually be able to top this group.
Yeah,
just
it'll be
quickly on Morrows. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say currently second just due to goal differential. Honduras put 3 past Haiti, who the Haitian FA messed up pretty badly in terms of COVID testing. They couldn't get all their players cleared in time. So Haiti had to start their match against Honduras with only 10 players. There was nobody else on the bench, and they had to put a field player in net. And then as the game wore on, more players got their clearance. So they finished with 11 and an actual goalkeeper. But just what a gong show from the Haitian FA as they messed up some of that testing, getting their players in on time. But the concern there, when you look at that, is Honduras scored 3 in the first half, 1 off a PK, and then another 2. But then in the second half, when Haiti was back to full strength, they didn't score again. And I didn't watch the match, so I'm not sure if Honduras was maybe sitting back or Haiti was pushing a little bit of goal effect or score effect type thing. But that worries me a little bit, that if Honduras wasn't able to get anything against Haiti. But JP, what do you make of the next match, which would be Monday, which is when this episode will come out?
Yeah, most dangerous match in the group now for me is this one, because you've got a team that, had that go against them in their first match out of the players' control. There will be so much desire here with that group of players now coming in with a full squad. I mean, they're going to be aggressive, athletic. They'll move the ball around. They've caused issues the last few years throughout their programming, Haiti. So this is going to be a physical challenge for our players. There's still a bit of maybe the right side of our central defending. Is there pace issues there? Is this going to be something that'll be a concern against real physical, aggressive teams, quick teams that want to get behind there and exploit it? We'll see. But yeah, this one's a scary one for me. I mean, we'll show up. We'll show up for Honduras, and we'll know what to expect. This one here, how do you build film off that? How do you build really what they're going to do in those circumstances? So, Morrow will have to really get these lads up for this one. And just on Morrow quickly, I would suggest, Jeff, that Morrow Bale is an MLS coach for me. I think he's a coach that should be MLS when you look at
sure. Totally fair. I mean, I only say a CPL coach just simply. I figure that's probably where the most immediate opportunity might show up for him. But yeah, I mean, no question that I think he's definitely an MLS ready manager. So.
Do you think it was maybe considered for the CF Montreal job after Thierry Henry left?
You'd wonder, right? You think he'd have to be in the mix. He's a clever football man, Morrow, and he's been there. He's been through that system. He knows it better than anybody, and he's been at the top level in the game. He'd be a loss for the national program if he chose that. And I like the national program where it's at right now. I like what John Herdman is building. I like the staff that he's putting underneath of him, in particular Morrow. So. It would be a loss for the national team, national program, not team, but program. Yeah.
Wait, and you hope that it was offered to him, and his thinking is, I would right now rather be a part of getting Canada to the Olympics and Canada to the World Cup. That you hope that national coaching staff's mentality is laser focused on getting these successes for the program.
I was just saying, to be fair, the timing was terrible. If you would have left the 23s at the time he did, then what? But Sally, just your thoughts on Haiti on Monday and Honduras, the big one on Thursday to wrap up the round robin.
Yeah, I fully agree with Jeff that this Haiti match is a scary one, and it's scary not only because these players the Haitians are going to be coming in, having felt like they were hard done by their own FA because of the entire debacle that happened. There might be some players who, quite frankly, are more well rested because they didn't have to play, so they might have a fresher bench. And I mean, one of the big things too is that result that their senior side got against us in the Gold Cup. Now all of a sudden you have this Haitian program that believes that it can come out and beat Canada any day of the week. You'll have players who are going to come into this feeling confident that we are a team to beat, and a beatable team, I should say. Sorry. So, we really are, and Biello said it in his presser, that we're probably going to have to ride a blistering pace Haitian wave for the first little bit of the match. They're probably going to come out. I think he even said they're going to come out guns blazing. And I fully expect that. I fully expect that the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game is going to be one of holding down the fort and trying to see if maybe there's some cracks to start exploiting. I think we are going to have that slower start again. Hopefully we don't concede in that first 15 to 20 minutes. But we will hopefully be able to ride that right out the storm, and then start to take it to them. Because I mean, I think we have players who are of a level in their professional careers that will have come up against situations like this, and hopefully we'll be able to lean on experience. I mean, I think you mentioned there Derek Cornelius and his experience at the back. I fully understand why he's a part of this team. You need that type of rock at the back who, he had that garbage call against him, took a garbage yellow, but it didn't faze him. And I don't think it has phased him in any way. I think he's going to come out with the same type of mentality as he went into that El Salvador match. So yeah, I think we have some really good pieces. And I think they should just fly Alfonso in for that Honduras match to stick to, to put the X factor into that game, see how they can deal with a guy that's won the Champions League with Bayern already. And
he's got some time off. He's got some time off. So
off. That's right. He took that red in their last match against Stuttgart. So who knows? Fly him in for that Honduras match for the knockout round games. See what happens. I mean, you could just have a ridiculous X factor playing up there. Buchanan on one side, have Fonzie on the other. I mean, my God, who would want to be defending that front three? That would be a terrifying front three to be dealing with. But that's pie in the sky. It ain't gonna happen. Right? It ain't gonna happen.
I was gonna say, who else is age eligible for this tournament is Jonathan David.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's even if Canada could ever get to Tokyo, they would put together a pretty good squad. But so it's Haiti tomorrow or Monday, 6:00 Eastern, 3 Pacific, and then Thursday is Honduras. That's a late one, 10:00 Eastern, 7 Pacific, and then the potential semifinal. If they win the group, they would play at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific on Sunday, and then if they lose, they would play at 9 Eastern or 6:00 Pacific time. So there's all your times. Watch it all in One Soccer and support the U23s. Now, when you talk about Fonzie and Jonathan David, they were probably hoping to be part of the men's senior team, which has World Cup qualifying on Thursday and Sunday as well. So you get a nice little doubleheader of Canadian soccer action on both those days. Obviously, the quarantine issues in Germany make it interesting for Alphonso Davies. There was a lot of talk. I didn't look at the American roster, but they didn't have some of their Bundesliga and League One guys come in because I believe they could have come in for the first match and then had to go back and miss the second match. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but with Davies missing a match now due to a red card, he's free. He's got some time. I also heard that the French Federation was going to ease up international restrictions because at first Liga, Ligue 2 were like, no, if you have to go, you have to quarantine when you come back. Don't bother sending your guys. So be interesting to see. We were hoping to have a roster by now, considering they play on Thursday, and we don't. But JP, start with you. It's Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, and I know that you want to get your guys in there, get some reps together as a national team, but these should be cakewalks, no?
I hope so. I don't want to say anything's a cake. We're not at that point, are we? Yet, as a soccer powerhouse nation, that we've got cakewalk games. No, you're right, Greg. These are ones that I think we can do without some of these European players and have enough talent here in North America with the MLS to get a result. So in both matches, you're seeing it in Europe at the moment. I mean, Jurgen Klopp has spoken out. Pep Guardiola has spoken out. They're not going to release players because of the 14-day quarantine when they come back. At the end of the day, the clubs are the ones that pay the players. So if they come back and have to quarantine 14 days and potentially miss a match or two with their squads, that's going to cause them an issue. So they're coming out and saying that they don't want to release players for these. And this is what we're going to be now. I mean, there's a good side of the story, though. We've got players playing at top clubs in Europe that are Canadian. So, you know, you look at it as a positive. It's a nice problem to have as a nation. Our best players are playing with the best players on the planet. We should be fine. I would be blown away if we can't get results there without our European contingent.
Sally, is the Voyageurs past trauma coming back to haunt you here, or are you kind of in agreement that this really shouldn't be a problem?
It was funny. We, when I say we, I'm talking the Wheat Pool. We have a messenger chat that we all are chatting in all the time. And just this morning we were talking, and I put the question out there. I'm like Bermuda, would they be pulling players mainly from like Leagues 1 and 2 England, or where are they really pulling their players from? But when you look at it, it's actually a lot of just sort of domestic based players in the sort of the different Caribbean leagues. So, I mean, yeah, we, you know, the panicking voyageur in me, and if anybody's seen that meme, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, you know, off the hook right now, because I'm just terrified that we'll be missing, you know, some players that we normally wouldn't be. And it's just, there's just going to be this drop off in level on the pitch, where we end up, you know, having a stupid 1-1 draw against Bermuda or the Cayman Islands, something just ridiculous, right? That ends up torpedoing our World Cup qualifying campaign. But I guess, you know, realistically, these shouldn't be difficult games. Are we going to light either of them up with goals? I don't know. Is that even really important? Not really. I think there'll be like 2-0, maybe 3-0 wins in one or both games. And if we only win against Bermuda 1-0, it's still the W. That's all we need. We just need the W's. That's it. It's not about the Benjamins. It's all about the W's in this case. So
they don't ask how, they just ask how many. Just get 3 points and let's move on.
Exactly.
I heard an interesting rumor, and again, I said that we're not commenting on rumors, but I thought this was interesting. It sounds like Besiktas is looking to be without both Atiba Hutchinson and Kyle Larin for their upcoming match this weekend, which would maybe suggest that both Atiba and Kyle would be coming into the national team. And is there a more informed Canadian striker right now than Kyle Larin? I know, Sally, you've been a little hesitant, but he is just bagging goals like crazy in the Turkish league and in the Turkish Cup. Is this something where he could come into the national team and maybe finally get that giant gorilla off his back, maybe, and start scoring in a red shirt?
Yeah, these are the 2 perfect games for that to happen. This is, you couldn't, if you're Kyle Larin, you couldn't ask for a better situation right now than to be able to come in against 2, you know, which should arguably be very weak opponents, and get that national monkey off your back, because you know, it's been a while. It's been a while for him. You know, outside of scoring a goal off his butt against the Hondurans, he just, you know, he hasn't been here and hasn't had the opportunities. But now, with what's happening with the quarantining of other players, you can waltz into this starting 11 and hopefully have some decent service throughout the match and get yourself a goal or 2 or 5, hopefully, and try and bring that European form back to the national team and be the star. You know, this would be a great time for Kyle to be the star of these 2 matches, right? I mean, that's the most we could hope for.
JP, I want to ask you a little bit about Atiba. He hasn't played with the national team a bunch lately. 38 years old, and he still looks great. If you watch any Besiktas matches, he's still kind of running them from midfield. If Canada were to qualify for the Olympics, you get 3 overage players, and it'll be U24 because of pandemic. Would you look at bringing in a guy like Atiba to be like, listen, you're so underrated in everything you've done for the national team program. You've always been there for us. Would this be kind of one of those things that you bring him in and say, thank you for everything you've done. Here's you on the biggest international stage aside from the World Cup that we've been to, you know, in decades? I do.
You the best player Canada's ever produced, in my opinion. Still playing in a very, very good league at a very, very good level. So what an inspiration to bring a player like this to the Olympics to help manage this group of players, young group of players, a lot with very little international experience, will be that roster makeup if we make it there. So 100%, I bring him in.
Yep, I like it. That's what I would do. I mean, obviously, when you get to the Olympics, it becomes a bit of an issue. Like, who do you take with your 3 overage players?
Mhm.
Obviously, like 2 of our best players, thankfully, are still under the age of 24, Fonzie and Jonathan David. So you wouldn't have to worry about extra roster spots for them. But you would get into a little bit of a dilemma in terms of like, who would you take as some of those overage players? But so Bermuda is going to be played in Florida. I believe it's at Exploria in Orlando. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific on Thursday. So it actually leads perfectly into the match against Honduras for the U23s. Perfect doubleheader. And then this Sunday match against Cayman Islands, I believe, is also going to be played in Florida because of quarantine with folks coming to and from the Caymans. That's a 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific start on Sunday. So a little afternoon, late morning football for you on Sunday. So you can watch those games on One Soccer as well. So basically, we've just become a big One Soccer plug, which is good because they're letting us use their highlights for our overlay video. So we do thank them for that. And hopefully all those issues that are plays that Sally wanted to talk about, hopefully they're on the highlight pack, because if they're not, then I guess we're just not going to see them, which is
I'm waiting for the hand holding the bag of One Soccer money to come reaching across and drop it in front of you.
I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon, Sally.
I'm not sure about that one either, but let's be honest though, there's a lot of football. We get to watch a lot more of our men and women play football around the country, and the international circuit because of One Soccer.
Yes.
They honestly, this is what they've done when they've come in to provide access for all of us fans. It really, I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
You can shit on them all you want. You could say, "Oh, why is behind a paywall? Why is it picked up by big networks?" I mean, support them because they're supporting our national teams.
I know.
Men,
we
women,
love
youth.
What are they doing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Thing.
Let's be honest.
They're firing all their soccer guys, or laying them off. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm thankful. And we've got Jeff here doing his best like Adam Jenkins impressions, and he is what was it? He is inform and on fire. I mean, that's a Jenkinism right there. We know Jeff's on soccer.
I really like Adam's commentary. He's my favorite commentator for One Soccer because he's not over the top. He doesn't rely on just the ridiculous one-liners. Okay, that one maybe is a little bit, but he doesn't rely on the ridiculous one-liners that certain commentators do. And he calls the play. Sure, he might screw up a player name every once in a while, but I mean, when you're in a studio watching a match, that it can be a little bit tricky. But Aiden, specifically on the shot that Aiden Daniels took that the Salvadoran deflected onto the post. Back to that game just really quick. I just have to say that game should have ended at least 4-0. Should have at least been 4-0 for us. Could have been 6.
If you know what though, we're glossing over about 4 or 5 opportunities El Salvador had that were great opportunities, and we're just missed the goal. So they had their chances.
Yeah, fair enough. That save that Pantamis made on his left foot went down and made that left foot save. Oh, yeah, that was. I
know what you're going to say, by the way. It was when he said that shot was some Godinho, and what was Daniels. So I know you're going with that.
Yeah. Pantamis, was good again, aside from the turnovers, but obviously playing in Canadian Premier League was big for him last year. Gave him minutes. We saw 2 CPL players come on. Mo Farsi played at the very end, and so did David Norman. He had to come in, I believe, for an injury to center back, and he might actually have to play there again on Monday. We'll see. I think Mauro Biello was saying today that they've got to work through a couple of knocks today in training, see how everybody is. But speaking of the Canadian Premier League, not a ton of news this week, but a couple of moves. JP, I want to start with you. Duran Lee, a player you guys had last year on FC Edmonton's roster, has just signed with Pacific. The fullback, I believe he's going to be the first player to play on 3 different teams in 3 different years. But what do you make of this move for Pacific, and what do you know about Duran that you can tell us?
Great move by Pacific. I absolutely love this signing. I brought Duran in to be our left-sided attacking player as a left fullback because I saw those qualities in his game when he was in Halifax, and I know they played him as a central defender. Now he's an attacking player. He wants to get the ball at his feet. He wants to go up players. He wants to dribble. He's athletic. With his size, he's when you stereotype sizes, he's a really big, athletic, strong fullback. And he's going to cause some problems. Wingers will have a tough time dealing with him because, again, he's such a strong kid. They had an opening on the left side. Obviously, they made a draft pick, of course, for that position. But he, he comes in game ready. He comes in CPL ready. He's at this level. He was injured. He got injured right before we left for PEI. Got injured in his first minutes in the game. In the event when we could get him back playing, got injured again. I feel for him because he would have been a big player for us. He was counted on being a big player for us. So I got really hopes for this signing. No one has seen the best of Duran Lee yet in this league. I think Pacific, the way they're going to play football, I think that lends to his style really well. Again, the opening is there for him to step right into and I believe start for that team. We're going to see a very good Duran Lee this year is my prediction.
Pacific also signing former Atletico Ottawa fullback Kunle Dadaluc, who didn't play last year for Ottawa, but was part of their squad at the Island Games. Valor re-signing goalkeeper Matt Silva. He didn't feature at all for Valor last year as well. He did play for York 9 a couple of times in 2019. And speaking of York United now, their striker Lisandro Cabrera, who they're bringing in, one of those many internationals that they have signed with the team. They're going to loan him to Dominican Republic side Atletico Pantoja for a little bit before the CPL season gets going. And interestingly enough, Pantoja is in the round of 16 for CONCACAF Champions League. And so they're actually going to go up against Monterrey. So a good opportunity for him to kind of showcase himself and get some experience before coming into the Canadian Premier League. Sally, one of the big, go ahead.
As I say, isn't that staring down the barrel of a shotgun when you're coming up against Monterey? It's like, okay.
And I mean,
anyway,
you don't want to take anything away from a Dominican Republic side. Good football down there, but that's a big ask. It's a big ask for an MLS side.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but just want
to. Is there a joke here that we're talking about international players in the CPL about Jeff Swearingen's "We Are Many, We Are One" jersey?
There's probably someone in there.
I'll leave it though.
One of the other things this week that's starting to pop up all over the internet is Atletico Ottawa's roster. If you look at their official signings, they have 10. There's been a couple of pictures, leaks showing that they have 18 players signed. It's weird to talk about, rumors of like 1 or 2 players, but when it's rumors of like 8 signings that haven't been announced, that's a little bit different. Ryan Telfer is one of them who's rumored to be going there. Dylan Powley, who played with FC Edmonton, is rumored to be going there as well. Sally, what do you make of some of these Atletico Ottawa signings, and why do you think something like this has come out when they haven't announced it officially yet?
I think maybe somebody in the office just accidentally shot it to the wrong email, and there it goes. Things like that happen. Who knows how this thing actually got leaked, if there's a specific reason why. But you look at some of the players that are on, Telfer didn't have a good Island Games last summer. He was really a non-factor for York. But I think maybe things just weren't quite happening for him with that squad. They were really a team of overrated players anyway, that York 9 at the Island Games. So maybe he just needs that change to kind of find some form again, and he could be the star of Atletico Ottawa. Now that they're missing a guy like Acuna, they could find somebody that's dynamic, plays dynamically like Telfer does, and he could really become a face of the team. Chris Manella, I think, is another one of the names that's attributed, that's on that leaked roster, that leaked 18. So it'll be interesting to see where he kind of slots in. That's quite a bit of leadership. Is he really that high quality? A lot of people are excited to see him back in Ottawa. So that could be interesting to watch. There was quite a large Caribbean contingent. I mean, Telfer, I guess, now being associated with TNT. And then there was at least 2, maybe 3 Jamaican names that I saw.
Yeah, a couple. Lawson and Shaw are both in the midfield. Yeah.
Lawson was born in Toronto.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. They're going to have a bit more of a Caribbean flavor, so to speak. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that worked really well for Halifax. I mean, geez, Halifax is basically little Caribbean right now in the league with the number of players from that area of CONCACAF. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for Ottawa as well.
Yeah, well, obviously with Hardy being from TNT, knows the area, knows the players down there. So JP, I mentioned that Dylan Pally was one of those rumored to be there as well. It would be him and a 19-year-old Slovakian goalkeeper. So I know that Dill bided his time, was really good teammate for Connor James, who kind of emerged as the number 1 guy with FC Edmonton in the years you were there. But this could be an opportunity for Dill to really, grab hold of those starters gloves, isn't it?
Great opportunity for Dylan. Outstanding. He came into camp so strong before PEI, then of course got hurt right kind of near the end of camp, was injured and missed a bit. So that affected their ability to play him more, I think, in PEI. He's a starting keeper in this league, in my opinion. I think this is a great opportunity for him to come in there. There's a young keeper coming up. There's also, I mean, with the CPL rules and having to start 6 Canadian players of your 11, I mean, there's no reason for me not to start a Canadian keeper. We develop great keepers in this country. There's more than enough. So Matt Silva was another example of a keeper that I think has a capability to start in our league that's not gotten that chance with Vela that you mentioned. So Dylan will do very well there. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting. Every time I learn of a new player who is starting somewhere in Europe, it's almost always a keeper. We've become like Denmark West. Where we just seem to be pumping out all these goalkeepers, and I mean that's good and all, because Milan Borjan isn't gonna. I doubt he's gonna be able to go as far as like a Gigi Buffon has, but it's good that there's gonna be all this competition for that vital spot on the national team.
Well, something to keep in mind or keep an eye on with Dylan. I sincerely hope he wins out that starting spot. I think it's there for him to lose. His distribution out of the back as a keeper. I'm not sure there's many keepers like him in the CPL right now that have his ability. He can play. I mean, he plays balls 40, 50 yards to feet. Very, very accurate. So he adds an interesting dynamic to a team wanting to play out of the back because he is very, very good at it. And again, he can stretch out teams. He can, if a team's pressing high, he's got ability just to ping it past them. Be very accurate. So Ottawa, a team that'll want to play a bit of football. And then what I like about, I mean, these are rumors, of course, but you look at, if these rumors come true, this thing, and this whole league thing is amazing to me. I mean, how people find, so I don't know what people do during the day, honestly, that they can find and screenshot and capture some of this stuff. I don't know if they've got like 7 computers on the go and it's just like constant feed watching, but some of the stuff people pull out is, I mean, I was attributed to be signing a player from Africa last year that I never heard of. And that was all over. And that made news in Africa, somewhere in Africa, that was making news apparently. Local newspapers at FC Edmonton was trying to get a player that I had never heard of in my life. So that was an interesting one. These ones here have a bit of legs to it though, because again, another report came out about Manila and Telford this year, this past week, outside of the whole roster league. Those 2 names were kind of talked about by someone else saying, yeah, they are coming without it being officially announced. And when you look at this, I mean, some of these players that they're bringing in, there's a lot of goals that they're bringing in here. A lot of goals. Trying to think, Jordan Webb, Singapore. He's played most of his career in Singapore, I believe. He has 101 goals in 220 games or something like that in 11 years. 101 goals, and 32 years of age. They've gone. Brian Wright, Birmingham, I believe it is Birmingham Legion. Does that ring a bell? Goal scorer there, 6 goals 2 years ago, 3 in a shortened season in 2020 in an off season, but 6 a year before that. Obviously came through in New England, I believe it was, scored 1 goal in the MLS. They put a priority on goal scoring players by the looks of it. Telfer, we know, can score goals. And the Island Games, it's hard to hold a player because even I look at my own situation now in games. So myself personally, when I went in there, even mindset wise, I was so worried about COVID. I don't mind saying it, and I'm not embarrassed by it. I was actually terrified. I was 50 years old at the time. I've had breathing issues, for many years. So it terrified me. My mindset wasn't even great at being there, even though I felt safe there. The environment, you just went in. So how do individual players handle an event like that, where you're now kind of confined in this area? We're all going to handle it differently, and that where you're at mentally will affect performance on the pitch. So I kind of give every single player a pass, for the most part, if performance numbers drop from 2019. Telfer will score goals in this league. We know that. And then you look at, I think Zach Verhoeven's on that list. Zach Verhoeven for me he was one of the players that whenever we played Pacific in 2019, he was the kid that worried me the most. Everyone talked about Taron Campbell, his other players. He was one that worried me because this kid could dribble out of a phone booth against 3 defenders. I love what they've added. Here, Chris Manella gives them some real bite in that midfield. Ben McKendry already has that bite, so you're adding some real presence there. Who else they've talked about? The back line, that's where you look at who's defending. So the back line is the one area of real concern right now, that there's no rumored players for that.
Yeah, with the leak, there's only still 4 defenders signed, but that would bring their roster to 18. So there would still be plenty of room to bring in some more defenders. So we'll see what Nista and crew are up to. They've got some time, and we'll see if some of these moves do actually come to fruition and do be officially official. So look forward to that. But gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of our time here. Another amazing chat, and we'll look forward to watching some of the upcoming matches for the 23s and the senior national team. Sally, tell us where we can find you online.
Yeah, for sure. I have to be a little bit quieter because my daughter just went down for her nap. But you can find me at Jeff D. Salisbury on Twitter. I also am one of the tweeters for the Wheatpool SK Twitter account for the Wheatpool supporters section. And speaking of that real quick, I have to plug it. We did the Q&A session with Living Sky Sports and Entertainment's Al Simpson on Thursday. So if you hop over to the Wheatpool's YouTube channel, you can find the recorded version of that. It's about 40 minutes long. And I also know that people should get excited for first renderings of the Saskatoon stadium here, probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks, potentially earlier, but I would say for sure in the next 4 to 6 weeks, there's going to be some stadium renderings coming out. So aside from all that, you can always find me on Facebook at the different CPL fan group pages, on the Voyageurs Facebook as well. And even on the CPL Discord, or the Canada Soccer Discord that John Eden and Ryan Shannon and the Ottawa guys started up. So I'm all over the place. There's hot takes coming out of every orifice. So
JP, what about you?
Just Twitter. Jeff _ Paulus, I think it is. Just Twitter.
I do want to give a quick shout out to the Voyageurs as well. They're having an event on Tuesday, March the 23rd. So if you watch this after that or listen to this after that, it's going to be on YouTube, so I'm sure you can watch it after. But there's going to be a Q&A. There's going to have some national team players as well. It's just going to be kind of discussing, I guess, some of the reorganization of the Voyageurs. It's been a quiet little stretch here for us, and it's time to get momentum going, particularly as things start to look up on both on the men's side, the Olympic qualifying, and on the women's side as well. So definitely tune into that. March 23rd, you can check out at the Voyageurs on Twitter for more information. I think it's on Facebook as well. So yeah, I'm at Grayson Knudsen. The Vodcast podcast is at the Cynical Chal 1, Cynical Challenge on YouTube. Find us also on Spotify, Anchor, and all your favorite podcatchers. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. We'll look forward to chatting with you again real soon. It's going to be probably wait till after next Sunday as well. And hopefully by then we're talking about Canada going to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in football.